same respect and rules for getting back to work, getting back on a plane so I can come visit Ankit and go visit Rakesh and Mohammed and you. I mean, but we can't do that until we all agree, right? We all have to agree on the same processes. And if somebody overlooks one of those processes, it could be dangerous to the world. Not We've seen how fast this spreads, and what if the next one is worse? What if the next one is very unforgiving? And again, I think it was a lab experiment gone crazy. I've done a little bit of research, and I speculate some, but my facts show that it could have easily been lab research gone crazy, and they covered it up. Nobody wants to be blamed for something like this. And I think eventually we're going to have to relieve the blame and just try to get back on the horse and see what we can do. And Victor and Ankit, do you want to do the introductions?
So I would like to welcome Victor Cheng from US, and he is one of the economists in the US. Victor, would you like to introduce yourself? What do you do? Where are you from for our viewers around the world?
Sure, yeah. Hi, my name is Victor Cheng. I'm an executive coach in the software as a service industry. As sort of a side project, I've taken a long-term historical interest in economic recessions. So I wrote a book called The Recession-Proof Business, sort of summarizing insights from the last 150 worth of recessions. I wrote this in 2009. It's been collecting dust for 10 years, and suddenly it's very relevant again. So I've been sort of talking about that a lot lately. And then that's my day job. And then in the evenings, I volunteer as an emergency worker in some of the counties here in Seattle. Medical training, been following along with a lot of medical protocols, just more out of personal interest, and been volunteering at COVID-19 testing sites and sort of active in the response sort of outside the hospital.
So Seattle, it's kind of cold there. Do you see the myth that they discuss that it's worse in colder weather than it is in warmer weather?
Yeah, I've heard that thought get passed around. I haven't seen any evidence to support that. There are many wishes I wish were true. That's one of them, but I haven't seen any evidence of that so far.
So Victor, I would like to start because you are doing a lot of things and you might be meeting a lot of people offline or digitally. How you start greeting people nowadays in the US? How do you greet people in the US?
By telephone, right? So I'm older, so this is a telephone for me. And I was taught that this is how we hold phones now. So this is the way I greet people.
This has been our common practice, right?
There you go, right.
Practice, but,
I tried the elbow bump, but I'm not.
We are trying the Indian way where we do namaste like this.
Got it.
This is kind of a respect, and that is what we are trying to understand the whole world. That this would be the. I think Abhijit would try to help us out, making it like a yoga day, maybe a namaste day for the world to greet everyone like this. And we have different poses of namaste doing in India in different parts of our culture, and that's how we greet everyone, be it our elderly or be it a younger person.
Oh, and these things are obsolete now, right? We're not going to exchange anything that it can be contaminated unless it has like maybe some gel that goes with it so that you can wash your hands with it, right? But no, we can't do that. I'm going to change my book cover to Namaste. My next book is going to be that. It's not going to be the handshake anymore. It's going to be Namaste. Because yes.
When I was, I was so deciding to start up into my current industry, which is education. One of the things I looked up was what kind of industry is recession-proof, and they said, and one of the top industries happened to be education, which is why I decided to go into education. So I don't think your book was all that dusty.
Fair enough.
Pharma and healthcare industry is a recession-free industry.
Yes, that's true. It's another one. It was another one mentioned in that.
It grows by minute, by second, by hour, by day, every day. Because the moment we face depression, tension, So means there is a creation of another type of market, another type of segments as well. So pharma is a over green market, and there is select free market, select free industry as such.
But at this stage of time,
What do
Mohammed,
we
I after
Hmm.
the loss we are going to make because of COVID-19 impact,
Hmm.
everyone is going to give that responsibility to pharma agency to make sure we do not land up into such situation again. How this industry is going to respond to that challenge?
I just see before talking to you, I was thinking something different, and that point is, see, government is helping every sectors right now. So I was thinking that one industry, which is the pharma and healthcare industry, is growing. So right now they started exporting also. Manufacturing is already in operation. So why can't a pharmaceutical industry can support another industry as well? Because see, right now I'm talking about the UAE or any country of the world, even in India, the salaries just cut from 100% to 50%. Now the employer will pay only 50% salary. Hopefully by the next month they can't pay that because they are not earning. So this industry, pharma industry and healthcare industry, has started earning right now. So they should come forward to help the another industry and is in need of the hour. It's my view. So I am also a businessman. I am paying my employee the full salary, and I'm committed from day one that I have to pay by anyhow. So the way we think, we will plan, we have to help each other. Actually, it's a time of to unite each other, to help each other, and to save the country and to the nation and the humanity as well.
From
That's my
salaries point
opinion.
of view, absolutely right, and it's good to hear that your employees are getting salary. But a virus which came in,
Hmm.
and is there a way that we can detect that such things does not happen again? That's what my question is. We will be able to make sure that our future is safe. We are not going to step into a lockdown situation like this, or the fear of getting such virus like SARS or polio or corona is going to continue remain with us. Is this virus is going to haunt us for another few years? Even after vaccines, we will be haunted by the new virus or something new which can be out of the blue can appear from somewhere. That was my question. I think anybody can answer it.
Yeah, I've got a
Necessity is the mother
comment
of
to make.
invention. Yeah.
Go
Sorry,
Yeah.
ahead.
Please.
I
Go,
defer to you,
go ahead.
Mohammed.
Go ahead, Ricky.
Necessity is the mother of invention. So every time the new bacteria, new viruses are coming up, but we are fighting with them. We are innovating the antivirus. We are innovating the antibiotic. So there is no way out we can save the world. So viruses and bacteria will they come they will start coming over and again. They will try to destroy us, and we will try to develop something else, antivirus, antibody, or whatever vaccine to save the humanity. And it is a going process. We cannot stop the virus or bacteria.
Right, but it
The,
means
the,
in that
the,
side of direction, there is no dead end or there is no certainty that it would not happen again. It may happen again. This is what you are saying, and technically, it is not possible. If I look at the time of and the period which we take to commission a drug as a vaccine for a virus, I think
Mhm.
I'm hearing a speculation between 18 months to 5 years. So one
Today
vaccine
there
is
is a news. Today there is a news that by September UK is coming up with the vaccine for the COVID-19. So one of my younger brother is there. He is leading the clinical trial in United Kingdom, and I just tried to confirm what is this. Is this the correct news or something the fake news? So he said, I will just verify and let you know by tomorrow. But
No, I'm not
see the
saying that there might not be an innovation. There could be an innovation, but that medicine, that vaccine has to be tested for more than 18 months and less than 5 years. This is what an average commissioning time period is. So 18 months to 5 years is a very difficult time. It doesn't sound like if a new virus came up, then again for 18 months, entire globe will be locked like this.
here
Right.
Dr.
Abhijit,
Philip is
what
the
is it?
most important person out here. I think he can reply very well. there is a preclinical time period, and the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 safety and efficacy of the vaccine. I think Dr. Philip Lu, you can
I know, but I want to hear what
guide us
Rakesh
very
has
well.
to say before Dr. Yu gets on. Rakesh, go ahead and say what you have to say.
My point is this, that if you notice, the virus is a zoonotic virus. It moved from an animal to us. As long as we have this interface between when we destroy the environment of animals and we keep, butting into their living, their zoosphere, we're going to we increase our risk of these kind of zoonotic viruses. We need to respect the planet. We need to control our own growth. We need to reduce the population in such a way that we have space for other species to live and reduce our own risk. The two things that are happening at the same time. We have an expanding population, which means an expression of recessive genes, and at the same time, you have an exposure to more and more of these zoonotic viruses. So when you have that, it's a recipe for elimination of the species.
No, you're right. That's a point to be had. I also agree that I think we're years away from any confirmation of any kind of vaccine, and we just have to learn how to live with what we have and respect what we're dealing with, as opposed to attacking each other. And we have to globally come together on this. This is been around since 1960. I've been reading the documents on corona when it was actually first found. They hand drew the cells back then, and it was a woman who was not even graduated from any university. She had got into science because she could not afford to go to school. She needed to get a job to help feed her family, and she went to work for the laboratory. But she was the one who also changed the way microscopes worked, and also introducing in bodies from us so that you could identify viruses. So very smart woman who started coming forward about the coronavirus strains, but people didn't take her serious. And, so we have to take a look at this. They said the reason why we are going to be so far behind on the vaccine is we're still working on some of those first theories. We're actually starting to go back and go, oh, okay, we acknowledge this now. So, but we got to kind of take a look at what we're dealing with now. And it's kind of hard to, because we don't know if it was manipulated, man-made, or if it was, it or originated from its own mutation. We have theories, but we still have yet to found ground zero. And until you find the real ground zero, whether it's bats, which they kept screaming it's bats, we know that it's transferring from human to animals and animals to humans. We still don't have that ground zero. The only ground zero I can find is the first coronavirus that was identified in a young boy back in 1964. He had pneumonia-like symptoms, and this woman identified them as a corona virus, probably the first identifiable one. Prior to that, she had recognized it looking very similar to two other viruses that she had discovered in the lungs of chickens and in some livers. So, I think we have to take a look at some of these baseline studies and understand the beast we're dealing with and how it mutated. But I agree. I think a lot of businesses will evolve out of this. I think a lot of fake businesses will evolve out of this. And we need to be very careful about giving false illusions. I think testing provides way too much false illusions right now. I think if we rely too much on we need testing to isolate and identify, but I don't think we test to be able to go to work every day, because I think we're going to have false illusions of being well, when in fact you can be contagious for 10 days before you're even identified as having a virus. I think building immunities should be a new business. I think we need to get apps to build a new immunity systems, right? I think that's what we need to be testing. We need to become a stronger nation, a stronger humans. Our bodies need to become healthier, and we can do that. We can do that, and we don't need to go back and be lazy when this is over. And I think a lot of people, that's what's going to happen. Dr. Galati predicts that when he came on our show. He goes, Kim, all of this is great, but we're all going to go back to our old ways. So what we need to do is not just establish it, but enforce it. It has to be enforced. You can't make a policy and not have an enforcement to go with the policy. Abhijit, you're talking about the three main things that we need to do. We need to enforce them. They can't just come with a written policy. There has to be a means of enforcement behind them. And I learned this in studying some of the laws that we have in the United States. We make a lot of laws, but unless you write any policies to enforce them, they're worthless. They're, we can do everything we can, but they become worthless. But we have to enforce them on a global. This cannot, anything we do has to be on a global basis now. And welcome, Dr. Yu, as well.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you. Thank you for your blessing. We also have Victor here, who volunteers. And Victor, before, I want to talk about this. You're volunteering with the emergency teams right now. So
Yes.
explain to me what's going on the front line there. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, there's, I think, been, at least in our community around Seattle, a clear need for more support in the response. And so I've done a couple different roles. One was there's a shortage of PPE. So we've been setting up collection stations for donations from the community. That was one effort a few weeks ago. More recent.
Time out. What kind of PPE do you need?
What are being requested are masks and face shields are probably the two most common. That I would say more the medical practitioners outside the hospitals, right? Those in clinics, those general practitioners, family doctors, they've not been able to buy any because they're being bought by everybody else. And so we've been collecting donations. There's also been a bigger effort to do more testing. And so we had federal funding for about a week to do a drive-through testing station. And so we ran that for 2 weeks. More recently, food banks have become an issue. A lot of the volunteers in, say, the Salvation Army historically are people who are now in high-risk categories. So we have a high demand for food, and then the volunteers to process the food are all staying at home. So some of us have been able to request to help support the warehouse operations for that.
What about setting up, so because it's springtime right now, setting up some local gardens, right? Getting people more community oriented to grow their own local gardens, which is more healthier for your immune system to begin with, because you're eating